everybody, it's the D-Rock100, and welcome back to more Pokemon in FireRed and LeafGreen. Last time, we began our adventure here in Kanto for the umpteenth in a time when you think of how many re-releases they've done for games like these. And we made some pretty nice progress from going from Palatine to Viridian City, then back here. This time, I'm doing shopping. Actually, oh, never mind. I was actually thinking of something else, and I thought I did that already, but oh well. Alright. So, we're gonna come over here real quick. We're gonna come to the west of Viridian City. We're gonna grab this item. A free potion. So we now are up to 3 free potions. And also, off screen, I leveled up a little. A Rattata level 6. And unfortunately, this one has run away for the ability, which is gonna be a throwaway thing. And Pidgeot right here with Kenai, of course, gets a note of that. So why don't we come out here for a moment, right here to Route 22. I actually have a bit of a good reason we're coming out here. Actually, there's a couple of good reasons. And this is one of them. So what do you say we gotta do a little bit of some fighting out here while I go and talk about the 2 new Pokemon that you can find out here, right out here in Route 22. And it may be worth considering coming out here. Starting things off is, well, Mankey. Our first fighting type. And actually a very damn good one at that. It starts off with some amazing offense and speed right off the bat. In fact, if you are looking for any good fighting type, this is going to be your guy. Or gal, whatever you want to go for. The real big negative that I have to give Mankey is that, unfortunately, while it eventually becomes the fastest fighting type in the game, it's lacking a lot of good moves right from the start. So if you want to use a Mankey, and you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed for what is to come, consider taking this out to Route 1 and do some training out there. You won't be proven wrong on this. When it evolves in the Primeape, it becomes the fastest fighting hit type in the game. And we can't say no to Vital Spirit. It is that good. Strangely, even though that it has great offensive capabilities, if only the physical special split had happened from before in Generation 4, because it does learn the elemental punches. In fact, Cross Chop leveling up, Low Kick leveling up, Brick Break. You get it. Those are some good moves. The only real big thing to really, like I said, to watch out for is that this has been one of the games from when, if you really want to be versatile, that special offensive stat is tied to it being its slowest stat. So that's definitely something to kind of be careful with. Now the other Pokemon that you're going to find out here is Spearow. This is essentially a Pidgey, only faster and a little bit more bulkier. Or excuse me, a little bit more offensive and faster, but a little bit more fragile. Like how fragile are we talking? Base 30 defense and base 31 special defense. Yeah, you're not going to be winning any good rewards on this one. But with Peck and Wing Attack leveling up, which are some very nice early game and flying type moves, it has actually become some pretty good. In fact, if you want to know a little secret, if you wait 5 more levels after level 20, which is supposed to evolve, it'll get Aerial Ace. And that is something that I would strongly recommend. Speaking of Fearow, once it evolves, it becomes a very nice and physical sweeper of a normal flying type. The real question is, do you want to wait for that additional 5 levels to get Aerial Ace, Or do you want to get some really good offensive capabilities right off the bat when it balls to get aerial ace later? I would say pick your poison. You might have varied some good things about what could come out for this. But like I said, the elemental punches, it sadly will not see it's a good use out of it because the physical special split has not happened yet. But if you really are determined, you will have a very, very nice and normal flying type to go for. Probably even better than Pidgeot in a way. Just like I said, it's more fragile. And some moves in it that it'll go up against it will definitely go down to it in some one good powerful hit. Like a really good rock type move or even a good electric type move and it's going down. So I also decided to catch a Mankey for this because I want to level it up because I feel like it's going to be a very tough choice to go for later on, especially since, well, you know, if you played this game before. Inferno's going to have a bit of a hard time for what is to come, but I think we're going to be just fine now. So what I'll go ahead and do is switch Inferno to the front. And let me guess, I'm gonna run into a wild Pokemon along the way? No. Okay. Was there anything up here? Nope. We have an optional rival battle right here. Oh, sort of. Hey, D-Rock. You out to the Pokemon League? Forget about it. You probably don't have any badges, do you? The guard won't let you through without them. By the way, did your Pokemon get any stronger? Indeed they have. His first Pokemon! Pidgey! Level 9! Normal flying type. Keen-Eye for the ability. Tackle, Sand Attack, and Gust. Yeah! Got it burned. Cutting the attack stat in half. So we'll just do that. Here we go. Oh, don't you start with me on that one, Device. Don't you dare start. You were doing so good. Alright. So I'm going to be a little bit diverse with this one. Because his last Pokemon is his starter. In this case, Squirtle, level 9, pure water type, Torn for the ability. With Tackle and Tail Whip. Oddly, doesn't have Bubble, which is weird. That is it if you haven't chosen as a Charmander. If you haven't chosen Bulbasaur, it would have been a Charmander, level 9, pure fire type with Blaze for the ability, with Scratch and Growl again. No hidden Ember. What's that? And if you haven't chosen Squirtle, it would be a Bulbasaur, level 9, Grass Poison type, Overgrowth for the ability, with Tackle and Growl again. What the heck? So I decided to work on lowering Squirtle's defense, mainly because, well, we have a very dangerous and bulky Pokemon to deal with. Let's see how Mankey does this. Wow, that's bad. Alright. New plan. Pidgey, get out there. You know what I probably should have done is Sand Attack. That'll lower its accuracy. Oh, actually, maybe not. Maybe I don't need it. Okay, yeah, I'm good. Oh, yeah, I'm good. Booyah! Mankey's at level 4. Very, very nice. Aw, you just lucked out. It's called having more Pokemon and a little more strategic about this. I hear the Pokemon League is crawling with tough trainers. I have to figure out how to get past them. You should quit your dawdling and get a move on. I'm gonna tell that to your mother. I'm just kidding. Alright. So, unfortunately, Viridian kind of kicked the bucket on that one. But it's okay. a little bit of a unfortunate setback, but that's something that I can't handle. Oh, okay. That's something that I can handle. That's not something that I can't handle. God, why? Okay, while I'm on the subject of this, why is it that some people say something like, I don't not like it? Like, just say you like it. You have no idea on how many times I've had people tell me about this sort of thing over the years. It's just... Dude. But I digress. So anyway, kind of going further up here, we now have access to this spot. I didn't go any further because that old man is pretty much going to be, well, the bane of our existence for a while. Oh, now I have my car, friend. That's what I need to get me going. What is that red box you have? Ah, so you're working on your Pokedex. Then let me give you a word of advice. Whenever you catch a Pokemon, the Pokedex automatically updates its data. You know how to catch a Pokemon? I suppose I had better show you that. Dude, I already know how to catch a Pokemon. This is basically a noob tutorial for you to see how to catch a Pokemon. You're thinking for an old geezer, he probably would have, like, more than one Pokeball. Alright, there! Now tell me, it was educational, was it not? And here, take this too. The Teachy TV. There's something you don't understand? Watch that. It will teach you about the basics of being a Pokemon trainer. That is what I consider her to be a useless item. Now, if you are a noob and you have no idea how to play these games, which I feel very sorry for you, you might as well have taken a good everything. Take a good look at it. Jeez, can't talk today. And that says a lot for what is to come. Speaking of what is to come, we have a new route. Hold on a second. I'm actually confused. Did I even put any of this down? Oh, okay. Yeah. So out here on Route 2, we have 2 new Pokemon here for us to talk about. And they might actually consider it to be somewhat worth your time for early game. First up, Caterpie. Everyone knows that this is Ash's very first Pokemon that he had ever caught. Joy. So glad that his very first Pokemon made a return at the end of the series. Anyway, kind of picking ourselves up. Our first bug type, and a bit of a generic one at that. As much as it pains me to have to say this, this is sadly the generation for where some bug type Pokemon don't show up to me showing a good use throughout most of the entirety of the game. That is not to say that Caterpie is useless. Shield Dustin is a very interesting ability, but maybe you can find some other good use from around it. I do want to quickly say this though. If you do plan on using a Caterpie, or at least as later evolutions, you might want to consider catching this as a Caterpie. Trust me, it'll make sense to you later on down the road. When it evolves in the Metapod, it gains the move Harden. And yes, you will be able to find him Metapod and later on, and that's the only movement that it'll know through leveling up. So you may want to consider catching it as a Caterpie and not having a Metapod rather than just constantly switching back and forth. And that Shield does eventually become Shed Skin, which is not a bad ability, considering the fact that it'll get rid of its status or problems, I think 30% of the time or something like that. Though sadly, it's generic, it's a defensive Pokemon. That's just how it is. But when it evolves in the Butterfree, it becomes a bug flying type, and eventually also gains the ability of Compound Eyes, boosting its accuracy. This, I actually have to say, not bad. Especially since some of the moves in that has low accuracy, and having something like Compound Eyes makes it kind of more worthwhile. It eventually gains Gust, and believe it or not, Confusion. You may want to consider this if you want to have a pretty decent bug flying type this early in the game. Long term though, this is unfortunately the generation where they don't have a lot of bug type moves, so it's not going to see much of good use out of those. It wouldn't have been until generation 4 and 5 when it really starts to learn some really nice bug type moves. The only really other big negative is that because it becomes a part flying type, it sadly gains more weaknesses in the process. More specifically into ice types and a quad weak to rock. Oh, and electric as well. So that's sadly something you might want to take into consideration. But people have defended this thing, saying that it is actually secretly a good Pokemon. It's just it takes a little while for it to reach its true potential. If you can do that, you might actually have a pretty decent bug flying type later on. Though it is outclassed, but you'll see for why later on down the road. Now the other Pokemon that you could potentially find is going to be Weedle, our first poison type. The only movement that it knows through leveling up, I guess really at all at this point, is Poison Sting, which is a pretty decent poison hitting type that has I think a 20% chance of poisoning your opponent. Sadly though, it's generic. Its stats are pretty mediocre as it is, but it's not the weakest. In fact, I think it's actually tied for being one of the absolute weakest, but not the. It has the same ability as it down with Caterpie with Shield Dust, so it has a bit of things like that to go with it. So not bad. Kakuna, level 7, pretty much the same thing that I talked about with that Metapod, just knows Harden. And if you want to use this for long-term use, which, why would you? Just raise it as a Weedle. You'll thank me later. But, when it evolves in the Beedrill, this is when things really start to take a bit of a turn. Of course, at level 10, but unlike that head of Butterfree, it actually has a pretty nice ability of Swarm, upping it into the bug-type moves. This is kind of crazy coming here from me because I actually kind of like this on Pokemon for ironic reasons. Because it has such one of the worst bug-type rosters that we've ever seen, this is it still holds on to Twin Needle, its signature move. And if you plan on using this, Twin Needle is a fantastic bug-type move, but it sadly falls short of being decent at best. So if you want one, by all means, raise it as a Weedle, then just level it up as it goes. In fact, move tutors that you're going to be seeing later on could give this Pokemon some pretty decent choices. In fact, Twin Needle arguably is its best bug-type move. But then again, Poison Sting, still not bad. Sludge Bomb, Toxic. Honestly, you could do worse with some of these Pokemon. Just be mindful that it's going to be a while before you can see any good potential later on down the road. But once again, this is a Pokemon that is sadly outclassed. In fact, a lot of bug types in this game are completely outclassed. You'll see. Alright. So right here in the Viridian Forest, I'm actually going to hold off of talking about the new Pokemon that you can find out here a little bit later on. I actually have a very good reason behind all this. So most of what I'm just doing a little bit of some dungeon. Didn't realize that we had a bit of a speed tie on this one. Speed ties are essentially from when it's a coin flip. If their speed is the exact same, it's determined hit by a coin flip. And don't poison me, please. What did I just say? Alright. But then again, I've seen worse. Mankey's at level 6, and I believe... Low kick, yes! This is essentially making our upcoming boss hunter fight kind of wet his pants a little bit. And he may have to run to a couple of girls in order to help him with the stress. What do I want to do? I got Weedle. And kind of want to work with it a little bit. I suppose in the worst case scenarios that I can always just work with it off screen. Because the Viridian Forest is not a bad location to level up some Pokemon. I believe... Uh-oh. I love that little animation about when things gonna get lowered or increased. I wish they brought something like this back in future games. And we actually have a Caterpie and that's actually kind of putting up a bit of a fight. Alright. There he goes. Now I feel a little better. And it's still very sad because I like how in future games they give you experience after catching a Pokemon. And yet, that's never been introduced yet. Alright. Actually, you know what? Let's kind of take a look at our new buddies. Because I know that you have Vital Spirits. Wow, you actually have more defense than I thought. Wow. Weedle is 1 attack point stronger. I have to admit, that's pretty funny. Alright, so why don't we kind of explore a little bit more of the Viridian Forest? I was throwing Pokeballs to catch Pokemon and I ran out. That's why you can never have too many Pokeballs. And we found another free potion. Yay, joy. Alright, what do we got? Another Weedle. And hey, you're at level 5, so that's not a bad level. I think that there's one case enough for when... Oh, wait a moment, I'm thinking of Pokemon Yellow. Yeah, never mind. It's actually kind of amazing that a lot of these Pokemon are being a little bit strategic with me. Trying to lower my speed, but unfortunately they're not really doing much. There he goes. And level 8, and I believe... Never mind. I'm definitely going to be working on these guys off screen and along with Mankey. And I think it's about time that we can come up here and get introduced to our first normal trainer battle. Hey, you have a Pokemon. Come on, let's battle him. I was kind of waiting until now to have us talk about the one new Pokemon that we can find out here in the Viridian Forest. And holy crap, you're at level 6. And that Pokemon is... Wow, that was pathetic. You know what? Let's do this. Because sadly, we don't have an item that'll give us shared experience. Don't worry, we'll be getting into that later on down the road. Then we gotta switch it out, because that's how we're gonna be sharing HP at this point. Got experience for that. So anyway, as I was saying, the one new Pokemon that you can find out here in the Viridian Forest is Pikachu. Everyone's gotta know Pikachu. It's Pikachu. The mascot of the entire effing series. If you're looking for any good electric type, Pikachu's a good choice. It'll be a while for it to reach its true potential, especially since you won't have access to its evolutionary stone for much later on. But if you manage to get yourself a Thunderstone, it becomes a very nice special offensive Pokemon. With static for the ability, can't say no to something like that, eh? This is sadly one of the games that, as I said from before, the physical special split hasn't happened yet, and some of its really good moves don't exist in this game. If you want one, go right ahead. They're hard to find, like 5% of the time out here, but you will have a very good choice for you if you want to have a really good early game electric type. In fact, this is the only real electric type that you're going to be fighting until much later on. In fact, I actually kind of considered using this in one on my team, but I ultimately decided against it mainly because that I actually have a bit of an idea for another particular electric type Pokemon. Don't worry, that'll make sense to you later on. If and when you do get the Thunderstone, it becomes a very nice little bulky special offensive sweeper. And also, I like how in the Pokédex entry, how Raichu can conjure a Thunderbolt so powerful it can knock out a Dragonite. I think they're kind of exaggerating a little bit on that one. But in all seriousness, it becomes a very nice electric user. And I don't remember if this is truly the case, but if you want to use it, you might want to hold off with leveling it up later on. Well, evolving it, that's what I meant. Because there are some Pokemon that don't learn any new moves through evolutionary stones. If I'm wrong, I'll put something up on screen right now. But this is sadly a Pokemon that I feel like kind of falls under that category. So your option is, do you want to have a really good Pokemon that's a really nice early game, but potentially be outclassed for something later until it evolves? Or do you want to hold off on it a little bit later? Freaking poison! Or do you want to try to get yourself a really nice special offensive Pokemon, and once you get the Thunderstone, evolve it right away, or wait till something later on? Pick your poison, not in this case scenario, but you might actually find some pretty good use out of it. Just remember, it's gotta be a while until it reaches true potential. That part I wasn't lying about. I have to admit, this is a very difficult fight. You know, making for a really good physical offensive user, you're really kind of lacking on that right now. Then again, it doesn't have Cross Chop quite yet, but it's got Low Kick, and unfortunately, Poison is resistant to it. New one. Kakuna! I know just what to do with you. Torch it to death. Doug. Huh? I ran out of Pokemon. Oh, right, this mechanic. I forgot about this. Hey, an antidote! Just sort of what I was hoping for. Or as I like to call it, that's the power and a video game convenience. Alright. Yeah. I'll do this. I am definitely going to work with these guys as much as I can off screen, so I can at least get some more experience and have some higher level Pokemon. Especially for what is to come in this upcoming city. And how the heck are you not a Metapod yet? So what I'm mostly just gonna do is just switch out my team, go for something a little bit stronger, so they can at least share some experience. And also, while I'm kind of going through this fight, I just gotta say, you guys are insane. Why do I say that? People haven't been soft resetting to get themselves a shiny starter. And luckily there is a way how to do it on the Switch. It's just... you guys have been just so determined to get that shiny. No kidding. And like, there's videos everywhere, and yet... probably the ones that are the most accurate and that I've ever really had the decency to kind of explore are those in that literally... the ones in that literally live stream themselves and waiting to get the shiny starter they want. But the longest one that I've probably ever seen was like almost 9 hours. Dude, that's... you guys are crazy. Alright. Uh-oh. Alright. You are another... yeah, you're another trainer battle. I do want to take care of these trainers along the way, so I can at least get some more experience. And oh, okay, there's that Metapod I was thinking about. So I'm gonna switch on over to special offensive Pokemon for this. And also, don't ever use a Metapod against a Metapod. If the enemy has ever taught us anything, doing something like that is pretty much just asking for a death sentence. Alright. So do this. Switch on over to Pidgey. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to be doing this a lot. And by a lot, I mean be doing this off screen. What are you doing, Caterpie? And... trainer... why are you not doing any actual attacks on me? All you're just doing is lowering my speed and prolonging the inevitable. Put up a good fight. Make Caterpie force you to drop your pants. Do something. Yay, level 6. Alright. Feast your eyes on that for a brief moment there, Caterpie. That's what you're going to eventually become, and now you're going to be gone. Yeah-wee! Caterpie's at level 6. Yeah. Yeah, you lost, Charlie. Now go back and I'm watching Charlie the Unicorn. Do any of you guys remember that even exists? Like, at all? Let's see here. Yes. I have an item right here. Another free potion. Now, we have just a couple more trainer battles along the way, and unfortunately, we don't have any ways of avoiding these guys. So what I'm probably going to do is just take care of these trainer battles, get my way through this dungeon, and then we'll finish up from here. And you have one new Pokemon, that is a Weedle. Let me guess, level 8? 9! That's German for no. And also, how is that not a Kakuna? Let me guess, you're gonna poison me? Shit! Again! Prolonging! That just keep using Poison Sting! You're practically having a type advantage! Same type attack bonus, 1.5 times boost. And it's also a shame because Tackle didn't get its Gen 5 buff yet. Alright. If I can survive this turn, I should be fine. There we go. Yeah! Now it learns Gust. And unfortunately, Pidgeys ain't gonna faint, because I don't have any more antidotes. But it's okay. We're almost near the end of the dungeon anyway. In fact, we're right here! Yay! Have you noticed the skinny trees on the roadside? They can be cut down by a special Pokemon move I hear. Many Pokemon live only in forests and caves. You need to be persistent. Yeah, whatever. Evolution and Cancel technique. When a Pokemon is evolving, you can stop that process. It's a technique for raising Pokemon the way they are. Yeah, it's called pressing B. And it fainted. Okay! And just like any new location, go straight to the Pokemon Center, otherwise you'll be a sudden duck if you don't. So, welcome to Pewter City! T-Rock is on Mount Moon. What's your profile? Yes. What? Interesting. Adjectives, really? Wait, what did that say? What was the last one? Oh, I thought for a moment that said nightmare for a moment. I mean, like, what? I am a Pokemon, LOL. Well, excuse me if we're not actually doing something like this. Check your pulse scenes and Pokemon get drowsy. Me too. Eh. Something that carried over from the original games. Alright, now that we're done with all that, I think it's about time for us to go ahead and end things off right around here. We made some pretty good progress. We made it through a couple more routes. We managed to get through an entire dungeon. And we arrived at Pewter City. Before I do anything else... Huh. I feel like this thing should become a little bit more important for something later on. Yeah, we'll give it about maybe 3 more years for that. But anyway, so next time, we explore more of Pewter City, and maybe take on the boss. See you guys then!